Since couple of days ministers are in the news. But do you know this? We have varieties of ministers in our government. There is a basic difference between councils of ministers, cabinet ministers and ministers of state. Hello and welcome to the In News series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about difference between councils of ministers, cabinet ministers and ministers of state, and what is the role of prime minister into this. And this session is important for your GS2 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. First of all, we are going to discuss the news, then we are going to discuss the councils of minister. After that, we are going to discuss the role of prime ministers into the councils of ministers. After that, we are going to discuss a brief about cabinet ministers. Then we are also going to discuss ministers of state of independent charge, and we are also going to discuss ministers of state and then practice question for prelims. Before that, you have to like, share and subscribe to the Drishti IAS channel. Moving towards the news part. So you already know that since couple of days ministers are in the news, and there was a huge buzz over that who has been given which kind of portfolios and who distributes the portfolios. So prime minister distributes the portfolios. So this time Prime Minister Narendra Modi had distributed the portfolios, and we can see that who has been given which kind of portfolios. We already had discussed this session into the past 2 days. So that's why today here with the basic concept that what is the difference between these three things. And if we will talk about that how many cabinet ministers we have among the councils of ministers. So the total strength of the councils of minister is 70, which is headed by prime minister is 71, and out of 70 we have 30 cabinet ministers. So this is the news we are going to discuss. Then coming to the first news, which is about the councils of ministers. So here we will go to the constitutional aspect, that do constitutional talk about the councils of minister, and do we have any words like councils of minister in our constitution or not. Then definitely yes, there is a word of councils of minister in Constitution of India. And according to Article 75, there shall be a councils of minister with the prime minister at the head to aid and advise the president, who shall in the exercise of his function act in accordance with such advice. So Article 75 deals with that there should be councils of ministers headed by the prime minister, which should, what's their primary jobs? So their primary job is to aid and advise the president on the crucial matter. And the size of the councils of ministers should not exceed to the 15%. So currently we have 71 people as a councils of minister, but this data should not exceed to the 81. It means that maximum ministers we can have till 80, and one is the prime minister. Then we have Article 88, and what Article 88 says about that, the councils of ministers have power to speak or participate in proceedings of both the houses of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and also they can be a part of parliamentary committee, but that does not give them power to right to vote for any kind of parliamentary committee. So this is about the Article 88, that they have right to participate in proceedings of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha also, but that does not qualify them to right to vote for any parliamentary proceeding. Then we come to the another one, which is about to role of prime ministers in the councils of ministers. So as you already know that Article 75 says that councils of minister is headed by the prime minister. So that's why prime minister is also called as first among equals. So prime minister is also called as first among equals. It means that it will be the prime minister will be, councils of minister will be headed by the prime minister, but he is not equal to the councils of minister. It means that he will be the head of the councils of minister. So this is about the councils of minister and prime minister role. Then we come to that what is the PM's other responsibility. So PM is responsible for decision making on crucial issues and also important policies, and he will decide that which kind of the portfolios will be given to whom. Then we come to the prime minister additionally serves as the head of the cabinet secretariat, and also right now the head of the Niti Aayog. Earlier we have this planning commission, and also the head of the appointment of the committee of the cabinet. So Prime Minister has also this kind of authority that he can reshuffles the ministership from one person to another person, and he can appoint new one, and he can also reject the other one. So this is the role of Prime Minister in the councils of ministers. Then we have another one, which is cabinet minister. So what is the difference between council of ministers and cabinet ministers? So we have right now 70 councils of ministers. It means the Minister of State of independent charge, cabinet ministers, they all are part of the councils of ministers. But when it comes to the cabinet, so we have only 30 ministers who has been appointed as a cabinet, and cabinet ministers are the senior most persons are in the councils, and second only to the Prime Minister. So for Prime Minister, there is a phrase which has been used, first among equals. So they are the second one after the Prime Ministers, and they oversees the strategic decisions and also the important ministries held by them, such as home, finance, defense. So this is about the cabinet ministers, and they also influence the policy decisions. Then we come to the Minister of State independent charge. So Minister of State are junior to the councils of ministers. So here there is a role of councils of ministers, and they are empowered to administer their respective ministry without the oversight of the cabinet ministers. So here there is no role of the cabinet ministers, and they can independently empowered to administer anything. So they are junior to the council of minister. Then we have ministers of state. So here what we have seen that there is a role of council of minister, but there was no role of cabinet minister. So without oversight of cabinet minister, the ministers of independent charge can administer. Here there is a role of cabinet minister. It means that the Minister of States will be supervised by the cabinet minister, and in generally the important ministries just like defense, finance, so these ministries have generally 2 to 3 ministers of state. So this is about the ministers of state. Here there is a role of cabinet minister, and there is a role of councils of minister. So they are under the cabinet ministers, but they are free of the cabinet minister. So this is the basic difference. Coming to the question part, question is very much easy because this topic has been widely discussed, and this thing can be also asked, the representation of women in councils of ministers or also in the cabinet. So yesterday we had talked about the councils of ministers. The question was related to the councils of ministers. Here the question is related to the cabinet ministers, and we already had discussed that what is the basic difference between the councils of ministers and cabinet minister. So the question is on the cabinet minister, and especially related to the women, because women representation in the parliament, councils of minister is very much important, and it is widely discussed, and it can also come to your examination for your essay paper, for your ethics paper. So that's why you should know the numbers, because if you have the numbers, then your answer would be more beautiful. So then coming to the question part, at present how many women are appointed as cabinet ministers? And your options are 2, 4, 6, 8. So here they are asking the cabinet ministers. So here you should not confuse with the councils of ministers. So there is a difference. So you have to answer accordingly. I hope you like this session. If you have any queries to this session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.